Hello everybody and welcome back for layout update number 12 here on the Long Island and Southern Railroad. For those of you who may be new to the channel, I highly recommend that you check out previous layout update videos so you can see how I went from a bare piece of plywood to the layout that you'll see before you in this video. And even for my returning subscribers, if you missed the last layout update video, number 11, I highly suggest you go back and watch that. It was about 2 weeks ago, and there's been a whole lot of layout progress going on since then. So you'll definitely see a lot of differences. So just a couple of notes before we get started here. The first is that I just wanted to let you guys know that I am filming a lot of videos right now, even though not all of them are being directly uploaded onto the channel. Don't worry, there are videos being produced so that at a later date I will still be able to upload frequently in case there is a time where I'm not able to get down to the layout, every single day and be able to film a video. Lastly, make sure to stick around to the very end of the video. I'll run the trains for 4 to 5 minutes. So if you enjoy watching the trains run, make sure to watch the very end of the video. And with that, let's get into layout progress. So as I do in all of my layout update videos, I like starting with the left side of the table and working my way to the right. And so up front here, we have some of the biggest changes of the layout. First off, I have all new ballast. Originally, I was using Woodland Scenic's fine gray ballast because I thought that's what would look best. That's what I thought would match the Fast Track best. But recently, I got two large jugs of Scenic Express ballast, and it was just enough to do in between both my main lines and the yard, and it looks spectacular. I'll get some close-up shots of it when I do the running session, but it looks great. It looks super realistic, and I'm really glad I ended up going with this rather than the Woodland Scenics ballast. Also up front here, I have a new railroad crossing. This is an MTH. It's called their highway railroad crossing, but with the overarching light bar up there on top. Originally, I was debating which railroad crossing system to go with. I needed something that was on the cheaper side, but I also wanted something that was scale. Originally, I had a Lionel railroad crossing, but it was very out of scale in reality, in O-scale reality, I should say. It would have been taller than 3 stories. And a lot of the scalar systems, like Z stuff, they're very well known around the hobby. I wasn't paying $100 for 2 railroad crossings, and I wouldn't be able to use them properly because I only need 1 railroad crossing here and 1 railroad crossing at the back crossing on the layout. So I was given this railroad crossing, and it looks fantastic. I'm going to get a second one to put at my other railroad crossing. And one other thing that I like about this railroad crossing is that A, it doesn't make the dinging sound because it would constantly be going off. And second, I was able to hardwire this right into with the rest of my buildings. There is no sensor, it's not activated when the train comes. It's always on because I figured my layout is so small, it's less than a 12 by 8. That there's going to constantly be a train that goes past and whatnot, so there's no reason to do all the electrical work and having the sensors when I could just have it hardwired and blinking at all times. And it looks fantastic. It especially looks good at night, and I'll include a shot of the roadside, so the opposite side that we're facing right now, what that looks like, and a video of it flashing when the lights are out on the layout. Moving to the back side of the layout, I reinstalled that flat there. In the previous video, it was up over here, and the problem I was having with it was that it's a 1/4 of an inch thick, but a lot of my larger locomotives wouldn't make that turn. It would keep hitting up against that flat, so I actually photocopied the flat and just put the photocopy of the flat and glued it onto the backdrop, and it doesn't look as good as the other flats that are on the backdrop, but it still works and I'm happy with it. Now I just need to figure out the space in between those two flats there. As of right now, I'm considering a road, but that might change. Moving a little bit forward in the town scene, I've gotten the last building for the downtown area. Unfortunately, Willis Hobbies on Long Island, they are closing their train department, so they had they actually had all of their train stuff marked at a 25% discount. So I stopped by in there and picked up this building, and it fits the spot perfectly. I still need to weather it up so it doesn't look as plasticky, but it's a great building. Now moving to look at the town as a whole, you might notice that the lights are a little bit brighter, and that is because I switched up the wiring. Originally, I had all the buildings on the layout and the inner loop of track powered by the same MTH 100 watt power brick, and I actually have so many lights on the layout now that it was causing shorts on the track because it was drawing so much power. So now I have two Lionel CW80 transformers. The first powers just the city, and then the second powers the rest of the layout. But it actually makes the lights a lot brighter, it looks a lot better at night, and I will definitely include night shots of the layout at the end of this video. On the very last note, you may notice that there are a lot more figures or cars on the building, and that's because while my girlfriend was here a couple weeks ago, we actually went through and installed a whole bunch of figures on the layout. So if you see any new ones, that's why. The very last note up front on this city table is that I wired in this Cherry Hill crossing shanty and actually put it near a railroad crossing where it realistically would go. This came in the first Lionel Strasbourg Ready to Run set, and it's a great little building, and so I finally wired it in, so all of my buildings on the layout are now wired. So up front here, I have one of really two large dead spaces on the layout. So this area is probably going to be left untouched for quite a while. This build board I just have sitting here, it came with a K-Line reefer that I recently got. But as of right now, what my tentative plans are is I'm going to get a piece of balsa wood and cut it to the dimensions of this grass area over here. Paint it gray to look like a cement waiting area. Scratch build a couple of automatic ticket booths, which are on the Long Island Railroad now, and then having a newsstand, one of the new Lionel newsstands that should be coming out closer to the end of the year. So you might see that in the next layout update video, but the newsstand wouldn't arrive till December of 2020 anyways. So for that reason, this area of the layout is going to be largely untouched for the foreseeable future. Now moving up front here on the table here at the passenger station, in my last video I included that originally I had these yellow stripes here from connecting the edge of the platform to the edge of the track, and I originally did this in a foam board, and the foam board was causing a lot of problems, and so I actually took it out in between layout updates 10 and 11. And so within the last couple weeks, I got balsa wood and cut it down to the exact size needed for in between the tracks, and it creates a lot cleaner look. I just painted it a dark yellow, just like a safety yellow, and it looks real good. I still need to include watch the gap signs on the yellow warning stripe itself, similar to what the Long Island Railroad has on their station platforms. But other than that, it looks great. I would recommend this for anybody who has that problem on their layout where there is a gap in between the station platform and their track. So in the back of the layout, in the residential area, I added the MTH white picket fence around the one Lionel suburban house. It's a nice touch. It's very realistic. It's about a 4-foot high fence in scale terms. My one complaint about it is that you can't change the length of the fence easily. There are little plugs at the end of each section, which makes them connect easily. I'm sure in theory I could cut them and have them at my desired length, but just for look's sake, I'm leaving it the way it is, and it looks fine. I have no problems leaving it like that. And maybe I will even get like a little swing set to put in the backyard there as if they had kids. The last note on the residential area is that in that very back grassy lot on the other side of the street, future plans hold for it the Lionel burning house, just as a nice touch to go with the fire station right over here. But that will not be delivered until September of 2020. So realistically, I probably wouldn't get it on the layout until the new year. But that is the plan for that area, and I'm just planning on leaving it that grassy lot. The first big batch of scenery work took place over here by the engine shed. This is Scenic Express buff that I just threw on this little, it was an empty grass mat area to kind of make it look like that it was overrun. It's railroad property. The railroad was neglecting it. It's definitely not 100% final. As you can see, I still need to add curbing to the side. I want to add a chain link fence and add some more colors to it so it looks more disused, the grass dying. Secondly, if I zoom in here, around the base of the engine shed, there was like a 1/4 inch gap from the base to the tabletop. So I cut out these yellow balsa strips, painted them yellow as if they're like a safety striping, and just glued it around the base of the engine house. As of right now, I only have it around half of the engine house. I will do the other half at a later time. Now moving up here in the yard, I installed this animatronic signalman with a red lantern. Now the red lantern does light up. I'll include a video of the lantern lit up and everything, but the wires came disconnected underneath the layout, and I just haven't gotten around to climbing back underneath there yet. But nevertheless, it's a really cool piece, and it's fun at night with the bright red lantern shining and the engines passing. Now moving into the yard area, as you can see, a lot of scenic work has taken place over here. In my last video, the Woodland Scenics ballast only came out to about the engine shed. Now I have completely ballasted the yard from the very back of the yard all the way to the very up front, which I'll show in just a second. I've also added 3 more Lionel yard lights with 2 lights, and that also really helps to brighten up the area at night. Even though it may not totally be realistic, it's nice to be able to see half the layout when the lights are out. I have 1 on the engine house and 2 behind the sand tower overlooking the yard tracks. Also by the engine house, I put in the Woodland Scenic Fine black ballast to represent coal, along with a MTH Rail King hopper coal load. If I do get a steam locomotive, it looks like it actually has a place to refuel on coal. And once again, it's just a nice little touch to break up the ballast in the yard. Alright, well that about wraps it up here for layout progress. I hope that you guys all enjoyed the video, and if you did, it would really be appreciated if you hit that like button, subscribed, and commented down below. Now, as I promised at the very beginning of this video, make sure to stick around and watch the trains run around the layout. But that's it for me. Take care and stay safe.